Is digital distribution an important component for Starz?
Well, digital distribution can mean a lot of things, but certainly in the respect that it presents an opportunity for us to take our brands, the Starz and Encore brands, and put them on platforms that are quote unquote digitally distributed. So meaning not over the airwaves, not over cable, but over broadband or wireless, and get those services in a premium tier to new subscribers or new potential subscribers in business models that would advantage the consumer. So get them, get us to them at like a lower price point, still on top of a basic package probably. That's a big focus of ours. I think it's a big focus of all the premium channels, because unlike the basic tier channels or the broadcast channels where they'll sell their shows to other digital distributors like a Netflix or an Amazon at the end of a season, which brings in a lot of extra money for them, the premium channels need to keep, the brand, that the product that we're selling is our channels. So we need to keep all those rights together. So it's more challenging for us. Therefore, the opportunity for us to sell those brands together on new platforms that have been enabled by new technology is certainly something that we hope to see evolve, and things that we're staying very close to.
Are there certain descriptive words that would fit in with the brand of Starz? I mean, is edgy a word that fits in?
I didn't use edgy. I use premium. Okay. I think larger than life. Can't see it anywhere else. Exclusive. Those are words that I like to think about with Starz.
The series Boss with Kelsey Grammer got a lot of attention when it started out. I think it lasted a couple seasons. Did you see that as something that could last a long time, but didn't?
Yeah, I thought Boss was a great show, and I thought Kelsey was amazing. It got certainly recognized by the Hollywood Foreign Press, both in nominations and an award for Kelsey. I became very surprised when he and the show weren't recognized by kind of the peer bodies, no SAG awards. I thought it was an amazing cast, certainly for Kelsey. And then there was some kind of miscommunication between the studio Lionsgate and the showrunner creator Farhad Safinia, and Farhad took a absentee position in the second season, which changed, I think, his vision of the show. I think the show was still good, but it wasn't a show that was growing, and it wasn't a show that was it wasn't growing in its recognition with third-party advocates like awards or critics, and it wasn't growing with the audience. And unlike the days when you could keep The Wire on the air because I liked it, the world is much more competitive, and these shows need to make business cases for themselves because they're significant investments, not just in the making of the show, but in the marketing, and it's usually a choice between them and something else. So we just decided to end Boss and move on.
Spartacus is a show that got a lot of attention. Were you happy with the progress and success of that show?
It was definitely a successful show for Starz. It had the unfortunate burden of never really being able to be what its vision was, because the star Andy Whitfield got sick with cancer twice. So we ended up doing a first season and then shutting down, and then maybe we weren't going to do it again, and then getting ready to do a second, doing a prequel. It was all a very unusual journey, but a successful show, and one that looked like nothing else on television.
What's your vision for the future of Starz? I mean, where do you see it? Maybe in 5 years.
So our first step or not our first step, but our big step now is to really migrate away from a primarily movie-based service, which Starz had been historically, to a much more balanced portfolio. So we're going to really ramp up the original programming a lot quicker, and a lot greater number of shows in the next couple of years. We want to be a brand that the consumer wants in their home. We want to be a brand that new distributors want on their platform. We're running a business. The difference between Starz, HBO, and Showtime may have many things from a programming point of view. I'll leave that for others to decide. But we're extremely different from a business point of view in that those companies are both inside bigger media companies. HBO being part of Time Warner, Showtime being part of CBS. They never report their earnings separately. Here, Starz, completely transparent, standalone business, standalone stock. I haven't looked at the stock market today, but it's something I sort of actively do now, investor meetings and things. So my vision for Starz in the future is to see Starz become an even more successful business, whether that's as a standalone, which is the way I have to think, or whether it's as part of a larger media company. The way that we're going to do that is to make Starz an attractive company for consumers and partners alike, along with investors.
What makes you most passionate about television?
I'm not that passionate about television. I like working. I like working with smart people. I like doing the things. I think people take television way too seriously. It's become, I'm somebody that still reads 2 newspapers every morning, and the amount of insanity around TV shows is just mind-boggling to me. I can't think. I mean, it's good for me because I work at a television company, but I can't think it's good for the world.
Looking over your career so far, is there anything that really jumps out as a highlight for you, or maybe a couple of highlights?
Highlights. Well, I mean, boy, my career, huh?
Or that you just had fun with, that you had a lot of fun with?
Working at the Improv in the 70s with all those comics, owning a nightclub in New York City in the days of Son of Sam, and, it was wild, and Studio 54 and all those things was wild. It was just an incredible time. I didn't love being an agent, but I certainly learned a lot. And then, the HBO journey was terrific. Whether it was the first time we did Comic Relief and I was backstage, and I heard them say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and and I go, oh my God, we're being on live. I'm actually doing this. We actually did this. It was such a rush. I think to get off, to be on the train going to Normandy Beach from Paris, a private train that took all the surviving members of Easy Company and Tom and all of us, Tom Hanks and all of us out to the beach on D-Day for a special screening. And coming into Saint-Mary-Église, which was the French town that a lot of these guys had landed in, first time many of them were back in Europe since the end of the war. These guys in their late 70s, 80s now. I mean, I'm on the train thinking, I'm there looking at this going, who gets to do this? Being in the White House for the screening of From the Earth to the Moon with Clinton introducing Hanks, who introduced John Kennedy Jr., who introduced the piece, sitting in the East Wing, going, I'm thinking to myself, this transcends. This transcends being in the TV business. This is now something that's just great. It's just exciting. And also just you make great. There are people. One of the nice things about being at Starz is I've actually assembled a lot of people that were at HBO either as executives or as people who I worked with on shows. And it's just fun because they're people that, even though I don't spend a lot of time with them out of the office, I probably spend as much time with them as I have with any best friends that I have over the years. So those kinds of, that kind of journey that you take with people is probably a little bit like being in the service or on a team, on a sports team. You remember, you've shared things with people that are inexplicable to others that haven't shared it. And unless you take hours and talk to someone like you, asking them questions to try and get over. I think the great thing about the television business is like the movie business and other things. It's a collaborative medium, and collaboration is partnership. It's kind of good for the soul. So it's communicating with other people, and when that's successful, there's a good feeling, not just necessarily about the end product, but about the process, which to me is really where the fun comes in. The end product is the end product. It's going to be good, it's going to be bad, it's going to be some version in between. But if the experience was satisfying, and if it's not based on the result, then I think you stand a better chance of ending up with a good result, because it really was about the journey.
What advice would you give to someone who aspires to be a network executive?
Don't do it. I can't imagine. The business is so competitive. I've been in the entertainment business for a long time. This is the most competitive I've ever seen it. It is as hard. I am working harder than I ever have. Look, it's an exciting business. It's one that takes a lot of work. It's one that takes a lot of training. I think if you look at the people that are running major media companies now, they've been around a long time. And if you look at guys that have left and are still successful in creating their own companies, it's because they have a skill set that took decades. One of the nice things about show business, maybe this is bad for people coming in, although there's so many new technologies that people are coming in doors that didn't exist before. But one of the nice things is that it's kind of like skiing. You can still do it when you're older, because you may not lose your you may lose your fastball, but you've developed a couple of new pitches that can still get you through the game.
So you said you've been doing this a long time. We know that. Where do you see yourself in 10 years, career-wise or just personally?
I'd like to keep working. I like this job at Starz. I like the Starz story. Whether we stay standalone or merge, or whether we're acquired by someone, I'm certainly hoping to stay a part of the entertainment business. I think it's a very exciting time, and it is challenging, but it is exciting. And I feel good, and so I still get excited by reading a script, or still get excited by seeing a cut of something, still get excited by a good meeting where we make a decision, or a fun lunch with somebody that I haven't seen in a while. And I don't think LA and Hollywood's a good place to be the guy that used to be. So I think I'd like to keep this going, and then when my time's over, find someplace else to live.
Okay. Thank you, Chris Albrecht.
Thank you, Stephen. Nice to meet you.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for